do.
Bless you. Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 24th to Thursday the 27th of October 2022. I hope you are all well. I trust that you all are. My name is Alex and thank you for joining us for this video and audio extravaganza, which I cannot do alone. I have to do it with someone, so I might as well do it with Rob. Hello Rob, how are you?
Hello there, Alexander. How are you? I'm very well this week, and hello to all our dear viewers and listeners. Now, then, let's address it straight away. Again, this is one of those things that if you're only listening on audio, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever to your life. All right, but visual consumers, take a look. Right, I've decorated. Well, I say I've decorated. I've started decorating. The camera is positioned extremely carefully.
The camera's being telling a few tales. Eh?
Honestly, I mean, Alex, me and you both know how cameras have to be positioned in certain angles to make things look their best, don't we?
Don't we just?
At the moment I'm sort of positioning the camera so that the wallpaper, the brick wallpaper, is coming across my room. It's not finished completely on this side. Stop it! It's not finished completely along this side, but this is genuinely what my room is going to start looking like. So
it looks fantastic.
I think it looks wicked, and the Albert Square sign works really well with the brick wallpaper. I think so.
It really does. It looks like you're outside recording this right now for us.
That was my intention.
That was the aim.
That was the aim. I live in Albert Square. I'm slowly but surely turning into that. You remember that pictures of that guy that was obsessed with, well, still is obsessed with Ben Mitchell, like everything. Ben Mitchell. He had like a Ben Mitchell sort of onesie and all that kind of thing. What I liked about that was that he started off with Harry Reid, and then when Harry Reid left the role, immediately dumped Harry Reid and covered everything with pictures of Max Bowden.
He didn't get a tattoo of Harry Reid, did he? Because that would be a big mistake.
I know. I don't know whether he did. Fortunately, he had all of his clothes on when the picture was taken.
Okay. I'm just thinking. Remember that episode of I'm Alan Partridge when he gets invited to go to his obsessed fans and he's got a big tattoo of Alan Partridge's face on his chest, and he's got that straight away when you mentioned the guy's name. The cover-up would be expensive, though.
I think it would, but slowly but surely, I'm turning my room into Albert Square. It would transpire. So I'm going to be on a program one day about sad fans that need life. I don't know why I'm single. I really don't. I don't understand it for a second, but there we are.
Did you apply? Did you see that they're looking for extras?
Of course I applied.
I did too.
Did you? I bet you get it, you asshole. Here's a bit of news. If you go on the BBC website, because to celebrate the BBC's 100th centenary, they are giving us the opportunity to appear as extras in our favourite TV programmes. So you could be an extra in EastEnders or in Casualty or in Doctor Who. Or apparently you can push a wheelbarrow in the background in Garden.
Yeah, I don't quite get that.
I don't get that.
No. Or you can give the T's and C's on Strictly Come Dancing. 10 million eyes on you. 10 million eyes on you doing that. Can you imagine?
That'd be awesome. I mean, I'm very used to those sorts of viewing things. I haven't done this podcast for so long, but
Yes, I mean, if you want to find it, it's called 15 Seconds of Fame. Google it, and it's on the BBC website for anyone who hasn't. Or it's on our Twitter as well. Actually, we put a link on our Twitter @WalfordWeekly. And don't forget, if you are listening, you can join us on YouTube. We are a video podcast as well. Search Walford Weekly Podcast, or of course, you can listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of your favorite podcast apps. Right, Rob?
Alex didn't notice this, the wallpaper whatsoever. It looks, I would argue, considerably different to what it did the last time he saw me, and yet didn't notice it at all. I was sitting there waiting for him to stop gabbling on for 5 minutes before I said, "Have you noticed anything different, Alex?" He was like, "Oh yeah, no, that looks quite good. I only just realised."
Comment below if you noticed Rob's wallpaper before Rob mentioned it, and I'll be interested to know if I'm the only one with observation skills of a blind man. Apparently, I've just got none at all. Anyway, Rob, hey, we've got lots of stories to talk about. Shall we get on and start talking about them?
Let's do it.
So we're starting this week with Lola's story, and it's a very sad story for Lola, who's now gone into hospital, had the tests, and it's been confirmed that she has a tumour on the brain, which has upset Jay. It's upset Lexi, who heard they were trying to protect Lexi, but she couldn't be protected. She was stood on that old trope of standing on the edge of the stairs listening in. She heard too. Billy was also devastated by the news. Honey had to comfort him this week, but it's okay because we got a kiss from Ballum at the end, so we're all okay.
As the social media team told us, genuinely, every cloud has a silver lining.
Did they actually?
Genuinely.
Did they actually?
Genuinely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they took that storyline and slapped it on there,
I
did they?
I know there's been a bit of controversy apparently around some of the things that the EastEnders social team have been posting. And I've seen a few things and I haven't really gone with it. I'm sort of like, I don't get what your problem is. This, however, come on, for goodness sake. You can't say, oh, well, a 26-year-old woman's got brain cancer. But you know what? Screw it. The boys
Every
cloud. Honest Christ.
I mean,
Anyway.
I'll talk about it. I'm going to talk about it briefly right at the top, and then we can talk about the more important matter. That basically Ben had the conversation with Jay. Jay regretted that he hadn't got back together with Lola sooner. Honey got in the way, and Ben kind of realised, and it was just like it's like Callum was over the balcony and Romeo and Juliet. He was going, oh Ben, I've always loved you too. Ran down the bottom of the stairs, had a big kiss, and then they're back together. It's like
cool. They're back together, and I'm sure everybody's delighted by it. And
I'm sure they are.
Easier. But then, do you know what? Fine, they're back together now. All right. So this doesn't go on anymore. They're
that's true. We don't need any.
All right. Good for them. Ben and Callum have used the moment of one of their best friends dealing with the fact that he might be alone.
The mother of his child. Yeah. Screw Lexi. Screw Lola. I'm getting back together with Callum.
I'll just go screw Callum instead. So everyone's happy. Everyone's fine. The world is right again.
It's all in alignment. Anyway, so Lola is really the talking point of this story. And yeah, it's such a devastating news for her to discover. Being played really, really well. Yet again, another instance where an actress has just been put to the back, not been given time, given this main story, and just shows how well that they can be performed. You don't need to give it to the same characters all the time, and just wonderful acting.
It's really frustrating because she's going to absolutely smash this out of the park, and so is Jamie Bother is going to break me during this story. I can tell you that. I can tell you because he's got this thing. I remember when he had when Jay was getting put on the sex offenders register. And he had that moment where I think he got beaten up or something, and he just broke down. Jamie Boverick has got a way of crying that makes my heart hurt. I don't know why. Some people are just do that, and he's a very good crying actor. It makes me really sad for him. And this is going to be devastating because yes, Lola has officially been diagnosed with a brain tumor. There was a name for it, and I can't quite remember what it was, but it's an officially cancerous tumor that's on her brain. And Lola, I think, is kind of going along the lines of, do you know what? It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. Like, yes, I'll have a bit of chemo. It's going to be a rough few months, but I'm going to be okay. And again, it's one of those things where we're sort of like, well, because we know where this storyline is going, it makes it all the more tragic. It's very rare that it's kind of spoilers can do that, but we are where we are. God, yeah, it's sad. It's really, really sad. I mean, the only thing I think all the pieces are in place now for this to be a pretty spectacular story and for it to be just a real heartbreaker, and because everyone involved is great. The only thing I think that it might kind of push this off the rails is if they rush it, because she's got the tumor now. So I suppose now it's all about sort of like, well, how long are they going to take for this to play out? Is it going to be months? Is it going to be weeks? We don't yet know. As far as I'm aware, Danielle Harold is still filming, which puts us a good 6 weeks or something ahead of where we are right now. So that's a good sign. But I don't know. Now we've officially got the diagnosis. How long do you really predict this is going to go on for?
I mean, I've been adamant for a while that it's not a Christmas story, and especially with a certain leaked article that came out this week, which we'll talk about on I Want to Gossip at the end of the show. I feel even more that it won't be, and we'll be looking at the new year for this. It's, January, February time. February is the anniversary of EastEnders. That's so it tends to be a time when they put out a week of good programming,
jolly stuff. Yeah.
The most exciting and happiest of the stories. I feel a bit disappointed knowing now, because we know that Lola is going to die from this. I think we're safe to say that it's going to happen. In a weird way, I know we had it with Jean, kind of her journey with cancer, but I feel like this feels different. This doesn't feel like the same journey.
It's better, Alex. That's why.
Well, I mean, no, the first time Jean had cancer was done well. The second time when Jean didn't know she had cancer, and it ran for three months until we found out that she did.
More than that, was 10 months. 10 months. 10 months. Know whether Jean had cancer for. Ridiculous.
But I feel like everyone's journey with cancer is different. Although it's the disease is the same, the way that people fight it and the way it's fought is different. And I feel like to see it from a young person, it's for me a bit more of an interesting story where we could see her journey and hopefully she survives it. If we're going down the really, really kind of like heartbreaking, gut-wrenching route, it'll be really, in a weird way, I'd like to see that she does survive it. But then, unfortunately, it comes back more aggressive, and then that's her ultimate demise, which would be sad.
It will be sad. I mean, to be honest, they've already sort of done that. They're already going down the very much EastEnders route of it. You know how EastEnders is quite often known for doing the most sort of heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, and hardest stories for their characters. There is no reason whatsoever for Lola to have a broken arm, can I just say? We all kind of thought that this was all going to go with along the route of, well, she's gone to the hospital, she's got the broken arm, and then they discover it while she's kind of being treated for a broken arm. That's not what happened. It's literally like, we'll give her a brain tumour and break her arm as well. Why not? It's really unnecessary.
They're being a bit cruel, eh?
Yeah, no, it's not that. It makes me wonder whether there's actually, it's one of those moments where kind of Danielle's actually injured herself in real life and they've had to just sort of write it in.
Well, you say that.
When Maddie Hill was walking around on crutches for a
yes,
moment,
yes, and then some scenes she would like had crutches, and other scenes she had none. Because the scene when Lexi was doing the pageant, a few observant viewers noticed that she didn't actually have the arm brace on.
I didn't notice that.
I mean, I didn't notice either. As we mentioned at the top of the show, I observed not even wallpaper being put on the walls. No, not a clue. Nothing there.
I could have been sitting here. My dog could have been sitting here. Alex wouldn't have had a clue. Not a clue. But do you know what? All fair play to everyone involved in this, and I include Ben in that actually, because I think it's going to be really interesting. No, I do genuinely.
No, I agree.
Because their relationship with Jay was really nice this week. I think it's nice because Jay very rarely gets the moments where Ben is the supporter. And it's nice to sort of see the roles reversed, because obviously over the years we've seen Jay kind of be the supporter for Ben in one of his many kind of outrageous, mad storylines. And now the roles have actually been reversed. So it's nice to have for him to both have Ben and Callum separately on there. Because, of course, what's going to happen out of this is that Jay's going to be left alone out of all of this. Billy and Honey back together, Ballum back together, and with Lexi. And Jay's kind of going to be left out on the cold with this, in a way. So I wonder whether that's going through his head as well. But it's desperately sad. It's a really, really sad storyline that I think is going to do well. It's got that vibe about it, hasn't it?
Oh no, it's already the scene in the hospital when they had the elderly couple talking to.
Oh my god!
It was just more misery, wasn't it? It was just more misery as a viewer knowing that as a viewer we know what's about to happen with them, and there's this elderly couple, and and it felt quite. I like their dialogue as well. Like Ben and I insult each other all the time. But when you first get together with someone, you kind of go out. You're embarrassed to even kind of like burp, a bit weirdly around them or something or the other, and then 10 years down the line, you're fighting, you're scratching your balls, you're doing all kinds of stuff around each other. You don't give a damn,
During this sensitive discussion about a character having a brain tumour. I do apologise.
I know, I apologise too. I'm sorry.
I know what you mean though. The old couple were lovely. I really liked that. And do you know what? That feels like very much a sign of the era that we're in at the moment. That they will throw a couple of. It's a bit like the two characters that Alfie was getting involved with last week with their little wedding. They seem to be bringing in these little extra characters that don't necessarily have to be there, but they have an additional layer to a story, and they're really working. It's just, the era that we're in at the moment. Oh, I love it. It's so exciting to be an EastEnders fan. It's brilliant.
It is very good.
So where do we go from here then? Is it because what says she's having the operation next week? I think she said
operation next week, and then she'll do chemotherapy. I think that's when we'll kind of know this sounds really morbid thing to say, but that's the kind we know the time frame of the story. Because I think if they're going to say the operation was successful, then we'll go down the chemo route, and then they might then say, oh no, it's come back more aggressively. If they might say that the operation wasn't successful, then perhaps it'll be a much shorter path to Lola's death, sadly.
It's interesting that they're sort of preparing her, or trying to, because I think Lola's sort of battering away all sorts of negative emotions at the moment. Everybody else around her is grieving and like feeling really miserable. Well, I think Lola's trying to keep quite upbeat about the whole thing. I think there is a part of her that kind of the most devastating thing about it is that she thinks she's going to lose her hair for a little bit, which is quite a kind of shocking and horrible thing to have to go through, obviously. But I don't think that she's really allowing herself to think of the possibility that this might actually go horribly wrong.
No.
So that moment's going to be sort of interesting when that comes along.
I think she's doing that though as a mother more than anything else, and this relationship with Jay, but more so as a mother. She's fighting it. She's fighting it for Lexi, which again is a lovely side. She's always been on a very strong mum. Like she would fight tooth and nail to get what Lexi wants, but the fact that she's now having to fight something within herself in order to make sure that Lexi is safe. So I say fear. I fear for Lola that we're going to have some scenes coming up when she ultimately is told that there's nothing more that doctors can do, that she's going to give her last goodbyes, and she's going to give some instructions to Ben and to Jay, and how to move on from her not being there. Because I think that I look forward to them scenes. I look forward to seeing her kind of. That would be. I tell you what, that would be an interesting episode if the whole episode is just Lola in the hospital bed or at home or something like that, and one by one she just gives her last kind of battle cries to the people that she loves, to Pops, to Billy, to Jay, to Ben, and her final one will be to Lexi. And again, this sounds really morbid, but will Lexi be the one who sees her ultimately die, or will it be a group? Will they all be in the room together when she passes over?
It'll be interesting to see what effect this has on Lexi, because obviously Lexi at the moment, I know what they're trying to do with Lexi. They're trying to make Lexi sort of like the amusing little bratty kid who's a bit older than she should be, that sort of soap kid thing. And I wonder what kind of effect this is going to have on Lexi moving forward, and what if this is going to sort of alter her as a character moving forward, as in how much. Obviously, it will have a massive impact on her because it's her mother dying at a young age, which they love doing to kids in EastEnders. But it'll be interesting to sort of see what Lexi's journey from here is, and sort of how she grows from here.
I'm surprised they haven't brought Bailey in for the story. Because,
I know, right? Bailey has not been seen for about 6 years.
No. She's gone underground and started protesting against a new motorway that's being done on the.
It's a similar sort of story, really, isn't it? Between
it's almost identical. So Lexi and
Bailey's mum had the euthanasia aspect of the plot as well, didn't she? But it's going to be interesting. And who knows where this might end up going? I don't know. But yeah, really, you're right. Bailey should sort of be involved within this somewhere on the way, but maybe she will. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But very sad storyline. It's going to be brilliantly played. It's going to tug a few heartstrings. It's going to make my eyes incredibly wet, because it's already done that this week, because Jamie Bothrick's amazing. I'm so happy Jay's got a big storyline. That guy is incredible. He's underrated massively as an actor, and it's a crime. It's a crime and outrage and a shame that he's not been given a load of big storylines over the years, but he's going to knock this one out of the park. I think everybody will. So let's wait and see what happens.
So the next story, smaller story, as are the next couple we're going to be talking about. And the first one is Harvey. Harvey is in a bit of a low mood, and Rocky has spotted that, and so decides to take him out for a bit of a lads' night out. Lads. Rocky overhears Dotty kind of making a joke of his son going to prison. Dotty then tries Dotty then tries to make it up with Harvey by buying him a bacon sandwich. Harvey then accuses Dotty of stealing his wallet, which he hadn't. He'd somehow dropped it in the paper bin next to him, and everything's all nice and glowy and happy again. But before we start recording, Rob, you said there's something that you spotted something, and I'm wondering if it's the same thing I spotted as well between two characters.
Well, there was a moment between them. I don't know why. I think this, because I'm not entirely because surely not is all I could say. Really, there was just a moment between them that sort of seemed a little bit sort of not romantic, but almost a little bit sort of tender.
Is this Dotty and Harvey?
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's something I should have spotted or not. I don't know whether my brain just kind of goes into bad places when I watch EastEnders. I don't know. But I don't understand. No, surely not is all I can say. Surely. I mean, did you see that as well?
I saw that too. And I did wonder for a bit. It's like, oh, hello, are we doing something with Harvey and Dotty here?
That would be.
Well, it would be mad. It would be Honey and Jay mad. I wonder if it's just that perhaps he sees her as his, Dana. Dana's gone. He mentioned Dana this week. She's gone to university, and perhaps Dotty is replacing that space, and so he sees her more as a daughter, a bit like Janine and oh goodness, it's on Classic EastEnders at the moment. Janine, I can't remember his name. But you carry on, and I'll remember his name in a minute. I'll just Janine and Terry.
Oh, Terry,
Janine and Terry had that very father-son relationship. Father-daughter relationship. But then Janine tried to take it a bit further.
Janine went all weird and started wearing Tiffany's clothes and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
right. That's right. So I wonder if that's what's going on with this story, perhaps, because we do know they like to watch Classic EastEnders, and then a few weeks later we see it on screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Dotty isn't exactly pure as the driven snow, is she? So I don't know
Janine.
Exactly. So I don't really know what sort of relationship. When I say relationship, I mean relationship in terms of a thing between two characters. I don't know what kind of relationship they could have together. It'd be interesting, but that's kind of initial sort of moment. It's sort of like, no, to be ridiculous. Let's hope. Because obviously Harvey and Jean are still sort of ticking along in the background, I like them together a lot, and this idea I've had for ages now about Harvey just sort of becoming the new Charlie. Because taxi driver and everything, it's all the pieces are there. And Harvey should find himself, in like a year's time or something, trying to read a paper whilst Slater madness goes on around him and sort of tries and just deals with life. That's Harvey's role, I think. I like that for Harvey. There was a little interview with Ross Boatman this week because EastEnders won Best Soap at the Inside Soap Awards. It's begun. The awards are coming.
They're starting to sweep them, aren't they?
And I think Gillian Wright won Best Actress. Lacey Turner won Most Iconic Actress of All Time, which of course she is. And it was all marvellous. EastEnders absolutely swept the floor with awards there, so it's begun. You wait, this time next year. But he was saying that I'd quite like sort of Aaron and Dana to come back at some point, and I do think they will at some point. Aaron especially, I think, has got that potential to really sort of come in and sort of be almost a Nick type character, like kind of come in and cause chaos for Harvey and then leave again. So that'd be interesting. It's kind of good that Harvey's got sort of stories waiting on the outskirts to happen when they need them. That's nice.
Because I actually liked that family dynamic they had. Talking about Aaron, I mean, Aaron and Dotty would be quite a good little.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would be, because Dotty is obviously trying to get herself on the path of kind of being seen as kind of, yes, I have a past, I have been trouble in the past, but I don't want that stigmatism anymore, and I'm trying my hardest not to have it. But I do think that it would take one thing to kind of make her suddenly snap and like do it again. Or perhaps even they might be good for you. They might be like the Stuart and Rainey. They might be good for each other. They might kind of, Aaron and Dotty might be an even kiln for each other.
I don't know, because they see that everybody who ever talks about Aaron at the moment is describing him as a terrorist. It's happened a couple of times now, so I don't really think that Aaron's in redeemable territory somehow. I don't think that's the plan for him.
I mean, bigger things have happened. They've made Gary with Stuart, for instance. Look what Stuart was introduced as, and he became.
He wasn't planning on blowing up a mosque, though, was he, Alex? It's the one thing he didn't do.
Well, he's playing a murder, though, wasn't he? He was playing.
They've all murdered in EastEnders.
Quite manipulative.
We love our murder.
Okay, fair enough. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see Harvey's back on path, and as you say, I think that him and Jean have got a story coming up, and hopefully the Harvey and Dotty story is more maternal than perhaps of anything else. So number one. Albert Square is now the hip young place for kids to hang out. It's finally. It used to be the place where
the place of murder,
absolutely,
the house of murder and violence. And now the dishwasher's retired. It's all fine.
Yeah, they have to do their own washing up now, don't they? I did notice that this week. It was like there's no.
Yeah, no, they do. They do. They do. The dishwasher's been completely removed, and now they do their washing up in the sink and their teeth cleaning. If Finley's got anything to do with it,
absolutely. So the Baker brothers have moved in.
Absolutely. Now, before we go much further, I saw a debate online about this. Cleaning your teeth in the kitchen sink. I mean, what's the issue there, really?
No.
I mean, that's not something I do, but I'm sort of just like, well, if you wash it, then what's the issue?
Yeah, but you're not spitting at the plates while you're washing up, are you? When you spit, the spit goes everywhere.
So you've got that sort of thing on your plates and stuff, so it all gets washed in hot.
Yeah, but that's directly in dishwater. When you're spitting, it's not just and it goes into the sink; it goes everywhere, doesn't it?
I see a poll. We haven't
done one of them in ages. All right, well, if I remember, which It's always a thing to
So the
bear in mind.
conversation is futile.
On at Walford Weekly on our Twitter, there may be a poll when this episode comes out asking you, would you be happy to brush your teeth in a kitchen sink? This is where we've lowered ourselves to, Rob. Yes or no? Get on there at Walford Weekly and find out.
Hot topics and discussion
we are,
Walford Weekly everywhere.
The country's collapsing. We're like in a recession. No one can eat. We've got hundreds of food banks. But the most important topic we need to know.
You told me not to get political. You told me not to get political.
Do not spit in a sink, or do spit in the sink. What would you do? Are you? If you do spit in the sink, then you're a Tory. So just so you know. So
that makes zero sense. Shut up.
But yes, so the Baker brothers have moved into One Albert Square with Chelsea and Whitney. Whitney. Doesn't take her long, does it? The red lights, red flags. Watch out, Finley. Whitney is on the prowl.
It could not be more obvious by that last image of the week that we had of Whitney, where she was literally kind of just chewing on her straw out of sexual frustration. Yes, she wants a bit of Finley, and frankly, the EastEnders gods have given her plenty of reasons to want Finley, because what we got this week, bless them. I mean, you've got to feel for an actor that must read his scripts all the time and go, "Yep, naked in that scene. Yep, naked in that scene. Yep, now I'm naked in that scene." We saw either topless Finley or the kind of Finley in his pants this week quite a lot. And not that I'm complaining, because frankly, why would you? But Whitney and Finley, yeah, that's very much on the horizon, I think. So I think the thing is with Whitney, we're kind of conditioned for Whitney to be in appalling relationships, you know, because Whitney always tends to go for the worst possible bloke ever. And I think that's kind of what makes us cautious about this. And yet Finley's all right in the grand scheme of things. Yes,
but everyone starts okay when they're with Whitney, and then she slowly chisels them away.
What, you reckon she's going to turn him into some sort of horrific human being? That's
probably, yeah.
See, I don't see any kind of clues with that at the moment. This might actually genuinely be a sort of happy relationship for Whitney for a little while. I hope
it is. I hope it is for Whitney's and Finley's sake, and for our own sake, to be fair, because it would be nice for Whitney to not be in a disastrous relationship. But I feel though, and she's not really starting it on good terms, the fact that like she's jealous of him because he's dating. So she's already kind of in her mind thinking, no, Finley's mine. So I think that this is a very dangerous territory to begin a relationship with. And I just worry for Finley.
Well, do you think that Chelsea's going to try and get a clause in at some point? Because it seems it could work in that kind of setup as well. You know, two attractive girls and two attractive guys. But, you know, an attractive straight guy with two attractive girls living together. Chelsea's not averse to sort of trying to go after some. I wouldn't put it past Chelsea for 5 seconds to try and go after Finley when Whitney and him are going at it. So I wouldn't be surprised. It would be interesting. I like this setup, actually. I'm really pleased with the Baker. Yeah, I'm really pleased that the Baker boys have sort of put themselves into a new sort of area, and can sort of now start. You know what I mean? I can now start to grow as characters. Felix, I've been thinking about Felix for a little while, and I've been really intrigued to sort of see where Felix is going to go, because I've got an idea for a storyline for Felix, which kind of revolves around him, around the whole Tara Masu thing. I think it'd be really interesting if Felix met a guy that wasn't aware of sort of what he does, you know, sort of the drag queen side of things, and someone who isn't really. I'd really like to see it from the perspective of someone who gets into a relationship with a gay guy that doesn't realise that he sometimes dresses up, and how that might affect their relationship. I think that'd be quite interesting. You know, sort of dealing with the whole they-them thing, and sort of the guy that doesn't really kind of understand any of that sort of thing. I think it'd be quite interesting to see that.
It's interesting, actually. Being an avid viewer of Drag Race, as I am, there's always a conversation on Drag Race where they talk about relationships, and they say that even RuPaul said this. He said that there's a lot of men who actually date them, and they tend to be straight men, heavy inverted on the commas, who see it that they're kind of still straight because they're dating a man who dresses as a woman, and so they would. So I wonder if that might be a story that the path they might go down with Felix. I mean, we got a really interesting question this week, actually, in our emails, alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com, robwalfordweekly@gmail.com, if you do want to send us an email. And we'll be discussing that at the end of the show as well on I Ain't Want to Gossip. So we'll talk more about Felix later on. But yeah, no, you're right. I think that would be his drag would be interesting to see how that would be. How that would affect him in relationships, because I think that it's tricky. for men who work in the drag community.
Mm.
But yeah, no, like you say, it's a good setup. There's lots of stories coming up for all of them. I feel like that now they've moved away from Karen and Mitch, that even the lines they're saying sounds like that they're kind of now missing them, because now the focus has been taken off them a little bit. Like, it's like, oh, I really miss Felix and me being here. So I wonder what they're going to do perhaps with Karen and Mitch. I wonder what they're going to do with Karen and Mitch like in the future as well, because they clearly they keep going on about how Mitch is missing them. So I wonder if that's going to be somewhere they'll take a story with them perhaps later on. And Mitch might feel like he's kind of trapped in this. He's trapped in a relationship with Karen again. And so they're kind of like, because he's never been one to stay in that relationship kind of environment, is he? With
no, it's going to be interesting. And do you remember when the boys first came in, we were just absolutely convinced that one of them was going to turn out to be Mitch's son. That's
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do you reckon that might still happen? Or do you reckon that's that's not a thing, and they genuinely are his nephews?
It might still be a thing. I mean, I have forgotten that we did think about it. I've not seen any clues or hints. I mean, it's not for EastEnders not to kind of like drop hints into things, is it? Again, we'll talk about the Panasar story next. But that text message that Eve got this week was clear that there was a reason why Vinny saw it too, so that might be carrying on. But we'll talk about that with the Panasar story. So, but I've not seen any hints yet, other than Mitch is missing them because he's kind of likes the kind of the environment, not having to just be him and Karen. I forgot about Bernie. Bernie's there as well. So this family setup is kind of...
That was Bailey, apparently, somewhere. Bailey.
Is she?
Under a sofa or under a pile of rubbish somewhere. Bailey is in that flat somewhere. I don't know.
Chatham and Riley has just been forgotten as well. It's
Chatham
like they never get...
Chatham and Riley don't live there anymore. Chatham and Riley moved away when Series 2 of EastEnders started, and they've just never been mentioned since.
That's what I mean, but they never get mentioned. It's almost like they've been like written out of the history of Karen's past a little bit, which is a shame. But I suppose if we don't see Bailey, then what hope has Chatham and Riley got? To be fair,
there we are.
Yeah, so there we go. So lots of stories coming their way, and as I say, fear for poor old Finley because Whitney has got her eyes on him.
Talons.
Big story of the week then is, of course, the Panasars and the separation of there's almost warfare happening between two groups. There's Kheerat and Suki and Eve and Stacey to some extent now, especially by the end of the week when Ravi started getting a bit too friendly. And then we've got the other side, which is Nish, Ravi, Vinny, and Ash. Who kind of are taking the father's side, taking Nish's side, and you can see this Panasar split happening as the week commenced and went on.
Panasar partition.
The Panasar partition. I think we got ourselves a title there. So I mean, it basically started off with Kheerat. He's still investigating. He's still trying to find information about Nish and Ravi and also Ranveer. What's happened to Ranveer? And he started off on a pretty bad footing because he convinced Lily that Nugget was interested in her in order to get Nugget to kind of open up to him in the McClutkeys. You what?
I ship Lily and Nug. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So sweet. I love Nugget. I don't care.
He's grown on me, to be fair. Oh, Nug.
Bless him, little nugs. Yes, so Kheerat is desperately trying to get information, and Stacey did not like using me. Did not like that one little iota. So it seems at the moment that I think they've sort of sorted it out by the end of the week, kind of. But they are on Kheerat and Stacey are on very rocky ground at the moment. I think none helped by Ravi. Because the police arrived on the square this week because Ranveer has officially been reported as missing by sort of friends in Mumbai.
No. It was Doctor. It was the I forget her name. Dr. Nina. Dr. Nina was made. She made the report. Okay. She made the report because she wanted to get the kind of like she wanted to try to get Suki into trouble, and I think her way of doing it was kind of because I think the path would eventually lead to Suki being the last person to speak to him, and because we know that Suki was quite unstable for a couple of weeks, that perhaps this might tip her over. Walking around in a 90,
sleepwalking, all that sort of thing. Yeah, she's going to be easy pickings. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it was Dr. Nina that was the one who put the case, because then later on in the week we saw that Ravi was kind of saying like, why are you putting me in this position? And Nina kind of quite calmly kind of had this roadmap of exactly how she thought things were going to go. They spoke to you. I knew that was going to happen. They're going to speak to Kheerat. I knew that's what's going to happen. And so she's kind of she knows what
this woman.
She's absolutely crazy, but then they're not a nutter doctor on the square, eh?
Oh, that's true. But no, Nina was actually getting slowly but surely turning into quite a clinical sort of kind of nutter with this, because she was quite happy for Ravi to go and like do stuff with Stacey if that's what the plan needed. You know, yeah, go. I don't care. Yeah. If that's what needs to happen, you go and have a good time, and I'll see you over dinner later. Like, she's absolutely fine with that. Yeah, it's interesting. Now, the other thing that's interesting here is that you kind of forget that the Nish side of things, there's absolutely nothing to do with that, really. He's got no idea that any of this has happened. It's like as if the Nish stuff in itself wasn't kind of enough to sort of keep the Panasars busy. They've also got Ravi and Nina having this completely separate plan with Ravi's death, not Ravi's death, what's his name, Ranveer's death, that had like nothing to do with any of it. Nish is still to discover all that. So I wonder what will happen when Nish finds out about all that, because yes, he is Nish and doesn't seem really to care about people that much in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's been relatively established that him and Ranveer had quite a relationship at some point, quite a strong relationship that I think he'd be angry about if he discovered that Ravi had killed him, you'd think. So as I know, see how that plays out. Again, this whole thing with Nish and Kheerat, I'm beginning to wonder if Kheerat's even his son at this point, because he's not bothered in the slightest what happens to Kheerat, is he really? He's quite happy. He wants him bringing down, apparently so that Ravi can take his place in his rightful place in the family, which doesn't seem entirely genuine to me. I think he is literally just sort of using Ravi for his own means.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that Nish knows that he can manipulate, and he's like a puppet master of Ravi, while with Kheerat, he's lost any opportunity to be able to do that. And so that's why he wants Ravi, because essentially if Ravi is the head of the family, then actually Nish is the head of the family. But I think Nish kind of is realizing also that he doesn't actually need Ravi, because he's kind of manipulated Vinny and Ash quite quickly as well. All it took was a movie night and a couple of bowls of popcorn for him to then kind of like he's already got his foot in the door with them, and he's kind of written off Kheerat, hasn't he? He's kind of just given up. He's like, well, you know what, I'm never going to convince him. I'm a good guy. I'm doing the best for the family.
Can't be asked to try.
I can't be bothered to even try. So I'll just get, Ravi is his replacement essentially in his mind. I mean, absolutely mad. I mean, it led to Ravi deliberately trying to cause a split between Stacey and Kheerat this week, to the extent as you said, Dr. Nina allowed him to kind of like flirt and even go as far as try to kiss Stacey. Stacey kind of
with her.
Well,
wouldn't bother her. Would not have bothered her.
Not one iota. She don't care. But Stacey kind of pushed him away. Said, "Oh, me and Kheerat have our problems." Which is, I must say, I was
impressed. I thought they'd just sort of let it into Stacey, because I don't think it really takes much for Stacey in a lot of ways. But I love Stacey with all my heart. All right, I love my Stacey, but. She's easy. She'll be on her back quicker than Blanche Devereaux in The Golden Girls sometimes, wouldn't she? Bless her. She's a Slater after all. We love the Slaters, but that's sort of the Slater woman way sometimes, isn't it? And I was genuinely surprised that Stacey knocked him back. I genuinely thought that she was going to sleep with Ravi. I was very surprised when that happened. So I liked that. That was good. Good move, Stacey. But it resulted in Ravi and Kheerat having quite the punch up in the Vic.
Big fight.
I mean, that was erotic, I'm going to say. I
mean, the moment when Ravi was taking his coat off and just in the vest.
Those arms. I'm sorry.
MMA.
Shallow
here
podcast.
We go.
Very shallow podcast. We know this, all right. But my God, those arms. Those arms, though.
I know.
Unnecessary.
I know. They had a huge fight though. Vinny was on the sideline shouting, "Punch him!
Hit him! Alfie was the most useless human being ever known to man, because he was literally just kind of holding Stacey back and was doing nothing about the fight whatsoever. Just watching this fight play out in front of him.
May I quickly bring up the fact that it's grinding my gears, to use an early 2000s comment, that Alfie has quite comfortably put his feet under the table of the Vic.
We knew this was happening, though. We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, but
I'm surprised
it's
happened.
not his, and he's giving out free drinks. He's kind of running the place, and it's like, no, Alfie, this is not yours to give, Mister. So
yeah, I did one. I thought that when he I think he gave Eve a drink on the house, didn't he? But no reason whatsoever. No reason whatsoever. He wasn't trying to flirt with her. He wasn't trying to. She wasn't. All that had been established was that Eve had a hangover. Oh, you're right. You can have that.
Yeah, have a free whiskey. Air of the dog. Yeah, and I wanted Linda to come out, or Shirley to come out and say that'll be coming out your wage, just to kind of put my mind at ease that the Carters do still own the Vic. It feels like the property is just being handed over. It's just
well, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Mick returns. I don't think he's going to be entirely thrilled to see Alfie behind.
Good. I hope Mick takes off his shirt and there's a vest underneath and he starts punching him up. Bit less erotic, I feel. But still.
Do you know what? Actually, not. I think Danny.
Oh, really? For a certain crowd?
Yes, for a certain crowd, I think that Mick is or like a bit of Danny. Anyway, so Suki returns just as the height of this fight is kicking off, as if they're literally kind of rolling around the Vic. Kheerat has his turban fall off and his hair's kind of tasseled. It's like two wild animals going at it.
The gasp amongst the Panesar family.
I did as well. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what this means. Oh God, what's going to happen now? And so that's all going on.
They kept showing the shot as well. Sorry, they kept showing. It was really weird. It's strange because after Kheerat kind of stormed into Ravi and they went outside and that's when they're rolling about on the square. They showed the shot of them going out the door, then the exterior shot of them going out the door, and then they showed the shot of the turban again. And I feel like there's more.
Someone picked it up, didn't they? I saw online that someone. I saw a comment online that said that's actually. I mean, obviously, it's a big thing in the Sikh community. But apparently, doing that, I don't know whether Ravi ripped it off or whether it fell off or quite what happened.
He had him in a headlock, didn't he? And he pulled away and it slipped off.
Apparently, that's actually quite. I mean, I love learning about this sort of thing, which is great. Which is one of the reasons why I love the Panesar so much. But apparently, that is a big thing to do to somebody within the community. Like that's a statement. Apparently, it's a big thing. Like it would So I wonder if that's going to be relevant, sort of moving forward. Whether that's kind of just like he's gone to this step, has he? Oh, that's interesting.
The next that's a real down. That's a real low blow.
Like below the belt sort of thing. So I don't know. I mean, please, any listeners and viewers who let us know about this sort of thing, please, because I'd be intrigued to know. So Suki returns at this point and lays eyes on Nish for the first time, and that's sort of the big duff at the end of the week that Suki has now seen Nish, and,
Daddy Panesar.
Yes, laid eyes on Daddy Panesar again, and we got. I don't know whether this was sort of Nish's dirty den moment. Hello, love.
Yes, I know.
I was expecting his line to be honest. All right, love.
Right, darling.
But so Suki has now discovered that Nish is back on the square. So how does she react to this?
Well, I mean, she had no warning either, and as I said before we came to the subject, she did message Eve beforehand. Yeah, because Eve had broken her phone. Jean had taken Vinny to be fixed.
Hope had broken.
Oh, sorry, Hope had. Yeah, by banging the door into her.
Hope had given a flying frig that she was quite delighted with herself. Did you notice? He broke my phone. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He's having a great day, was Hope. Delighted.
Pass me the candy floss. I want to get high. So the message from S. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Jean and Vinny were the two to see it, and also the fact that Jean shouted it across the bar as well. But I wondered if that had been heard by Nish or not, but I don't think it had. But Vinny certainly knows there was a text message. Well, and to give Vinny his due, he may not be as fast on the uptake, but I do think that this is something that little Vinny could kind of figure out on his own. I think he could,
maybe because. Also because what's also kicked off with the Panesars this week is the fact that even Nish has started to butt holes a little bit as well. That's interesting. So that's starting to build up now because Nish doesn't like Eve. Evidently doesn't like Eve.
Yes,
and Eve doesn't like Nish.
He doesn't like him. No.
Unaware, I think, of what both of them could throw at each other, because I wouldn't like to get into a fight with Eve. I'll tell you that for nothing. I don't, I think if Nish wants to try and take on Eve, good luck, my friend, because that's going to be interesting. So. Again with the Panesars, we've said this for weeks, but so many different layers to it, so many different elements, so many different strands going off in different directions. There's so much to them now. They're such a huge family now. I love it. Can't wait to see. I genuinely cannot wait to see where this goes next week. Now Suki has laid eyes on Nish for the first time.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
But what's going to happen with Suki and Eve now? I mean, that's another
this is the thing,
problematic situation between them.
Yeah, well, this is the interesting thing because Eve was trying to get hold of Suki after she came back from Brighton. I don't know what went on in Brighton, but she came back not looking well. Bless her.
She fell asleep on the table in the Vic. I loved that.
One pint and her head was down on the table.
Boom.
I've been there.
We've all been in that situation, eh?
And Suki actually messaged her and asked her to meet her at the airport. So there is still that sort of Suki's not entirely kind of closed her off.
No.
So.
And Kheerat's gotten used to it now. I think Kheerat's kind of comfortable with it, much more comfortable than he first was. Perhaps with a bit of persuasion from Stacey. He also apologized to Eve for kind of
nice.
But Eve did slip. She said, "Why am I defending this person? I have no need to defend him."
Yes.
That Ranveer tried to rape Suki, which is furthered than the frustrations with Kheerat trying to find out what's happened with Ranveer, what exactly, which kind of. Oh, goodness me. I mean, poor Kheerat, his mind must be going 50 to a dozen.
He's had a bad week.
He's had a really bad week. The amount of information he knows, but this is it. He's got a lot of information. Nish has got, Ravi's got a lot of information. If they just shared that information rather than fighting, then perhaps, things could come out of this. Perhaps that wouldn't work quite so well for either of them. So it's all these secrets and lies that they're keeping from one another that's kind of generating this whole
great story.
Well, a great story, and the hate within the Panesar family. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? Seeing this family kind of being torn apart by all this kind of cloak and dagger, and the secrets and the lies and the kind of Game of Thrones-esque type power struggle between fathers and sons and mothers. It is like it's like Panesar Game of Thrones. I'm telling you, they're the Lannisters. I'm telling you that.
Bloody marvelous. So there we are. Sort of a week done in Walford. A fabulous week. I tell you what. Again, we're getting bored of saying it now. I think our viewing figures are going to start going down because we're not moaning as much as we used to. But again, great week. We'll find something. Don't you worry. But yeah, another great week. We have an email and we have a bit of news that was revealed this week. So spoiler alert as we move into I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't want to gossip.
As Rob mentioned, this is the first part of I Ain't Want to Gossip. Might be a bit of a spoiler, so check on the timestamps and you might want to skip this one and go straight on to the email that we'll be discussing after this. But some news I say leaked. I don't think it was leaked. I think it was deliberately, or at least a lot of news outlets had it, but it was first released on the Irish, funnily enough, the Irish Sun newspaper. And they showed photographs of the scenes that are being shot for Mick Carter's, presumably, final episode of EastEnders. And basically, it's a car driving off of a cliff. Mick Carter jumping off the cliff, strangely.
I believe I can fly.
And Linda and Janine are there too. And also there's a couple of stunt dummies which are dressed like them. So presumably they're the two in the car. I guess we could figure out from there. Anyway, all the information is online. You can find it by just searching it. Or you can find it on our TikTok, our Instagram, or our Twitter page. Just look for at Walford Weekly. But Rob, so... This article came out. You messaged me and let me know about it, and we were both a bit like, "Oh my goodness, what do you think? What do you take out of this? What do you think might be happening?"
Well, I mean, it all looks pretty epic, to be fair. So it's like a big old car stunt. I mean, obviously with Janine, it's a cliff, isn't it? All of us to went with a cliff with Janine. Bless her. I suppose we're not in Scotland. I mean, how many cliffs are there around? Anyway,
we are an island, Rob.
Yeah,
quite a few.
Are they an island? Have they gone to Ireland for this?
We're an island. The United Kingdom is an island.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I got you now. Okay, cool.
We're not landlocked by anyone else. Don't you worry.
No, not yet. Yes, so, I mean, this all looks very exciting. Now, I'm still furious and gutted and desperately sad that Janine is going. But, I mean, this doesn't bode well for Mick, I don't think, because he is literally, there's a picture of him literally in the air. All right, so it doesn't bode well. I don't think that trampoline that's in the picture is actually going to be there on the episode.
No, they might take that out, maybe.
They might take that out.
Wizardry,
So it doesn't bode well. So I think it does ultimately lead to it makes you think that Mick's probably going to die at the end of this, because this all looks big, dramatic, and explosive. There is also a picture, it would seem, of Janine. We don't know where in the episode this goes. It could be at the start, could be at the end. Of Janine sort of flagging a car down and escaping. Maybe that might be a clue as to how Janine leaves as well, sort of in the back of the car and escaping from all the madness, and sort of lives to fight another day, which you would hope. So yeah, very exciting, very, very, very exciting indeed. Looks like it. I will say though, I've got no idea how where we are at the moment is going to lead to that. You know,
I know it's mad, isn't it? The only clue we've got is the photograph in the Die Hard DVD case. That's the only clue we have to how we get into that point. So how we get from A, the photograph, to B, Mick jumping off a cliff.
B for blast. I don't know. And also, that's a bad year for Linda and Janine, to be fair, isn't it? 2 massive car crashes in the space of a year, in the space of just a few months. Not a good year, isn't it? Janine's going to be like, I'm never going to Walford again. I just always end up in car crashes whenever I'm there. So yeah, we will see how it all goes. Let us know your comments and your theories in the comment section below, because the excitement is coming. It looks like it's going to be a big old Christmas / New Year, doesn't it?
I think because
it's going to be huge.
You said Christmas, and I said no, they wouldn't do that for Christmas. They'd say that for New Year.
But
I think you're right. Actually, I think it might be Christmas. I think you're right. Yeah. I mean, I just want to know why. Other than, I guess, to save, because obviously we saw the cliff and he jumped off into the airbag. But when they do their wizardry and they edit it, is it that he jumps out into the sea, do you think? So the reason they took that shot was it was meant to look like he was jumping into the sea. And so he's saving Janine. And is there going to be a decision? Does he save Janine or Linda? What's going to happen? But there's the other thing. Does Linda and Janine get saved? And sorry, I'm getting excited. And Mick is supposedly dead in the sea, but we never find a body. So that kind of then leads to Harold Fisher. Yeah, he comes back with the Salvation Army and his memories come back. But that's kind of nice, because then that leaves Danny Dyer in a position of could be dead. So Danny Dyer might be happy because he wanted killed off. But then if Danny Dyer is kind of, wants to come back, earn a little bit of extra pension money in a few years' time, then he could come back. So he's a bit of a dirty den situation. If
he finds himself getting offered things like eating kangaroo testicles at some point, he can go, actually, you know what? I'll go back to EastEnders. I'm good. Thanks very much.
Yeah. But as you quite rightly said, comment below, get in touch with us on our Twitter, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Let us know what you guys thought from that. And you have already, actually, you got in touch with us on our Twitter and our TikTok and gave us your comments. So thank you ever so much for that. Someone who got in touch with us on email was a guy called Orville. I'm just going to find your email right now. Here we go. So thank you for your email. And Orville wrote, hello, Alex, Rob and Ben. My question is about Felix. I really appreciate your insightful discussions and podcast. My first question is why is Felix single? Ben and Callum are white gay characters and they get priority from EastEnders writers. Can a third gay character have a love life or not? Felix is a rare black gay male character on British television. There are so many stories about black gay men EastEnders can explore. For example, racism is in the gay male community and is a topic EastEnders can explore in relation to dating and gay male spaces. My concern is Felix is just a comic character and he is in the background. He is the funny black sidekick, and that's it. Recently, Coronation Street got rid of a black gay character, James Bailey. The writers of Coronation Street gave James a boring coming out story and lackluster love story. Do you guys think that British television has a problem writing stories about black gay men? After all, Ben and Callum are the centre of attention, while Felix is alone with no boyfriend. Now, we will be answering with our point of view, but I did actually email Orville back. And I asked Orville for his point of view because he is a black man. Rob and I are white guys, so it feels a little bit wrong that we should have the only opinion on this matter.
Yeah, please do throw your viewpoints in here because
absolutely
slightly underqualified to discuss this. Let's be fair here.
But before I read out Orville's reply, Rob, what do you feel? What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that has come to my mind particularly. I think that I like Felix a lot, and I'm glad that Felix is a character because I've always kind of thought that when Felix came in, it was sort of just like, this is what we wanted Lewis to be. You remember, the sort of really sort of realistic sort of gay character at the time. And I mean, he's not been around for too long. They don't always throw all the big stuff at new characters straight away. So I think Felix will have his time in the spotlight, and we don't know where that's going to be. I've said that I'd really like them to explore sort of the drag queen side of things and sort of explore that in his relationships with people. As for the color of his skin, I don't know. I don't know whether racism is particularly prevalent in the gay community. I haven't experienced it. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it around a huge amount, but it may well be a thing. What did you think? I don't know, in all honesty.
I mean, putting aside the race, I mean, we do have our moments when we talk about how Ben and Callum tend to take the center stage. But they were the only. Well, they weren't though. They say they were the only gay characters, but they weren't the only gay characters at the time. There was Habiba's sister Ikra was there as well, and that was explored. She had a black girlfriend, which kind of got forgotten. Was it Mila? Mila, and there was a week for that, and then that was it. And so they've done no kind of exploration for that at all. So they've had opportunities to do it in the past. I think that Felix is a good opportunity to do it. I have in the past seen racism in the gay community. It's something I don't personally understand why, because why would a minority decide to then pick on another minority? It's just ridiculous and absolute counterproductive in my mind, but then that's just me. So I completely understand, and I would like to see another gay character being put in a very positive light. The one good thing is that Felix is in a very positive light. They've not brought him in and he's kind of this character which is kind of portraying LGBTQ plus community as kind of like vicious or mean or horrible, or kind of like all they're out to do is to sleep around and this and the other, because Felix doesn't seem to be that kind of guy.
No, he doesn't. No.
As I said, I messaged back Orville, and he very kindly replied to me with his opinion, and I'm very keen to read it out. So Orville replied, my opinion as a gay black man is Felix is getting wasted by the writers. The EastEnders writers got a huge opportunity with Felix to give a different perspective on a gay character who isn't white. Felix right now is just a comic character, not a serious dramatic character. Since EastEnders' soap thrives on drama, Felix has no story. The racial undertones for me as a black gay male character is not as important as Ben and Callum, who are white gay characters. Since the executive producer Chris Crenshaw is a man of colour, I guess I got to have faith he will give Felix a storyline. I acknowledge maybe I'm a bit frustrated and impatient, but I think I am just a bit disappointed at the moment. It annoys me that Felix's straight brother Finley already has sex with Dotty, that's true, and I am sticking to my argument that EastEnders writers have got a problem with gay male sex. I am also finding it interesting EastEnders this year, all the black characters are in the background and no big storylines for them right now. Chelsea did have one earlier this year with Grey, and it looks like three's a crowd for gay male characters. Felix reminds me of the Finn Barton on Emmerdale, the third gay character. Finn didn't get much romance and his character was eventually killed off. I have to believe Chris Crenshaw will give Felix a romance, and I guess he will have to wait until next year to see it. It just makes me feel sad. I remember James Bailey, how excited I was to see a gay male character on Coronation Street. James got a lot of press in the UK, and his coming out story was very interesting. He got a gay romance, but then James just disappeared. The writers on UK soaps don't know how to write for gay male characters, and even Ben and Callum, who are white gay male characters. And there's a little bit more, but I mean, there's examples then in the past, I suppose, and that's frustrating to Orville as well, that it's happened in Emmerdale, it's happened in Coronation Street.
I think what the thing here is that Orville is, and I understand this completely, is that Orville is waiting for a relatable sort of representation to kind of come across on screen, and maybe that hasn't in certain angles. I would say, I think, kind of, let's give it some time. I think Felix will be what I think. I've got a lot of faith in Felix, and I've got a lot of faith in the era. So I think give it time. I think now Felix is sort of settled in, and he's now in his group. I think it's going to be good to see Felix develop from here, and I have confidence that we will see what we need to, what you want to see out of Felix. I really do. So there we are then. That's another week done and dusted. Thank you very much for listening and for watching. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can do any of the following. You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. So you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can listen to us on emails on robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com.
And may I just add that you can find us on TikTok as well. I cannot emphasize this enough. My face floats around on videos now, Rob. What more can you ask for?
Like Games Master.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am the Games Master.
Or the Game Master. So there we are then.
On that bombshell.
Bombshell. It's goodbye from me.
We'll sort them out next week, guys. Don't you worry. And it's goodbye from myself. Goodbye.